Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to be learning about Christian symbols. So all you're going to need is this little pack that has wood in it that's going to become a boat, and then something to decorate it with. So I used colored pencils, but you can use markers, crayons, paint, anything that you would like. So we are going to start off by kind of asking, wait, what's a symbol and why is it important? So I want you to think about, what if you were driving in the car with mom or dad or somebody else and they pull up to the light and it turns red? What does that mean for them to do? Stop, right? Well, how do they know that it means stop? Well, because we've learned that it is a symbol. Green means go, yellow means slow down, and red means stop. So we know that without having anyone have to tell us. We just had to learn that that was the symbol. Or think about if you were in school or maybe in Sunday school or church or things like that. What does it mean when you raise your hand? It means that you want to say something, right? You didn't have to say anything at all, but we knew, hey, you have something important to say and you want someone to call on you. We have so many symbols out there. And for some of you that may be a little bit older, thinking even like, what about when you have to save something on the computer? You click the save button, and we know that it's the save button because of the symbol. Or when you're looking for Wi-Fi, you look for that symbol. There's so many symbols out there, even like where to go to the bathroom. Oftentimes there's a symbol there, so you know that's the door to the bathroom. So today we are going to be talking about some symbols that have been in the church. And especially we're going to talk about a few, but one in particular called the Luther Rose. And that's this one right here. Martin Luther designed this because he thought it would be very important for us to have this as a symbol for people to really have a lot of ideas of what Christianity is. So we are going to take a closer look at this. Inside you see that we have a black cross right there. So that black cross is obviously a cross, right? That symbolizes Jesus, but the black cross is symbolizing Jesus's sacrifice for us. Now, if you remember when we read about Jesus dying on the cross around Easter, you'll remember that was not very easy for Jesus, was it? It was hard and it was painful, but Jesus did it for each and every one of us because he loves us. And that goes into the next part, which is a heart. This red heart is there to symbolize, of course, God's love for us, but it also symbolizes our own heart. And our own heart has to have that cross inside of it because we need Jesus. We need God to live. And so having the cross inside of the heart reminds us that Jesus is in our heart every day and that it is so important for us to remember Jesus' sacrifice. But then we see the next part is a rose. The heart is set in a white rose. Now, this rose, Martin Luther had said that the white symbolized the color of the spirits and of not of Jesus, of the angels. And so when we think about Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? The Spirit. And so this rose, when we see flowers, a lot of times it makes us really happy, right? This rose is to symbolize that joy that's out in the world, that we have so much joy and love and things to look forward to and to see all of the beauty of the earth. So that is what the rose symbolizes. Then behind the rose we see, it's kind of getting blurred out a little bit, but it is a sky blue background. And so the sky blue, if you think about the sky, right? This is that rose out in nature and out in our world. But also oftentimes when we think of heaven, we think of that's in the sky. It's not exactly in the sky, right? But it makes us think of that. And so that sky blue is us thinking about heaven also being here on earth, where we can be living in the joy of God and in God's creation out here on earth. And then last, we have a golden ring on the outside. And the golden ring, the gold is of course super fancy, right? Gold is such an expensive and precious metal, and it looks beautiful. And so it's to symbolize heaven. and the eternity of heaven, because a circle doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end, right? A circle just keeps going around and around and around for forever, just like heaven goes around forever. And it is so magnificent, just like gold. And so when somebody would see this, they could think about all of those wonderful things, and it would be popped into their mind like, oh, wait, I know that. That's the Luther Rose. I got that. So then I want to talk about a few of these other symbols that are on here. So right here, we have a fish. Back in the day, and even sometimes places now, people would be persecuted, and that might mean bullied or killed for being a Christian. So we know that Jesus had a lot of disciples that were fishermen. Jesus taught a lot out on boats and fishing, and also we saw that he had a miracle where he made tons of fish and loaves of bread for all of the people by taking it just from a few. So what people would do is they would trace their feet in the dirt and make a little half circle like this. And if the other person was also a Christian, they would make the other side of the half circle. Now, if they weren't a Christian, they would just think that somebody was kind of playing with their foot in the dirt. And so they would not have to be afraid that they were going to be bullied. The next one we have, this one right here, it kind of looks like a P and an X a little bit, but really it's called the chi rho. Now that would be in Greek, the first letters of Christ would be chi, which is what this X symbol is, and rho for C for and then R for Christ, right? Jesus Christ. That would be the R that kind of looks like a P in this, but it's really an R. And they would put those on top of each other to symbolize Christ. So if they wanted to say Jesus very easily, maybe some people couldn't read or you wanted them quickly to know, hey, we're talking about Jesus here. That would be the symbol that they would make. The next one right here is also Greek. It has an A and then a little symbol that looks like this, kind of looks like a horseshoe. That one is omega. The A is alpha, and alpha is the beginning of the Greek alphabet, and omega is the end of the Greek alphabet, kind of like how we have A and Z. So what that means is when we talk about God being the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. God is throughout all time. So if we're wanting to remind ourselves about God and about how God lasts for forever, we may want to put this symbol right here on there. Our next symbol is this green one right here. Now, this one represents the Trinity. Now, we remember we're talking about God, the Father, or the Mother, or the Creator, right? God that is everything. We have that God, right? But then we also had God come down and in the form of Jesus become a human. So we have God the Son, and then we have the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is what flows through us always. Sometimes she's called wisdom. And that is what's in our hearts when we think, what should we do? And we have that little voice that tells us, hey, you should probably do this right thing over here. That is the Holy Spirit talking to us and blessing us. So we call that the 3-in-1 because they're all three different in a way, but they're all the same too. So if we look at this symbol, it's all one thing, right? And again, this has no beginning or end. It just keeps looping around over and over and over again. But there's 3 different parts to it. So it can be 3 as well as 1. Then up here we have the Star of David. Now the Star of David was something that the Jewish people had used, but also for Christians, there's another thing that we represent with the star. Do you remember something special in the Bible happening with the star? Yes, the wise men followed the star to find Jesus. And so a star also represents Christianity. And then we have right over here, we have a light. Now, this represents the light of the world. Now, the light of the world is God, right? And so in this little flame, we know that light outshines darkness all the time, and light will never stop. And also, sometimes we can think about God shining out through that light, where we remember when God was talking to Moses in the burning bush. So that's another symbol for us. I also have right here, this is the Episcopal flag, and it has the white to represent the purity of Christianity and Christ. We have the red cross to remind us of Jesus' sacrifice and Jesus' blood, even that we have in communion, but it also looks like the St. George flag, which reminds us of all of the saints that have passed away. And then we have this blue. Technically, the blue is called Madonna blue, which the Madonna is Mary. And so it reminds us that Jesus was born from Mary. Mary was such a wonderful person, but also that reminds us Jesus was human. And so we have all these different sides of Jesus, and it has many, many little crosses inside. I don't know if you can really see, but what we are going to do is we are going to make our boat, and I want to see what symbols you put on. You can use these ones or others. We're going to put that in right here. And then because the rainbow is also a symbol of God's promise, what we are going to do is we are going to take these other two pieces. I put all rainbow crosses on mine. We're going to take these two pieces and they just fit together like this. And you should have 2 rubber bands. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these 2 pegs, you're going to put the first rubber band on, then you're going to slip whatever you've done on here right inside so that it fits and is dangling inside.